In the wake of Hurricane Eloise, the coastal town of Mariners Hollow was left grappling with the aftermath. The once bustling tourist hotspot was now a ghost town, with debris littering its streets and businesses shuttered. Among the few buildings still operational was the Seagull's Nest Hotel, where I worked the night shift. With the hurricane having driven away our guests, the hotel's echoing halls felt even more isolated and eerie. That night, the wind still whispered Eloise's fury, and the hotel's emergency generator hummed a solemn tune. The lobby was dimly lit, casting long shadows that danced on the walls. At the front desk, I busied myself with inventory, trying to ignore the unnerving silence that enveloped the place. Suddenly, the silence was shattered by the loud ring of the service bell. Startled, I looked up to see a man standing on the other side of the front desk. His clothes were tattered, his face obscured by the shadows. "I need more towels," he demanded, his voice gravelly, almost inhuman. I apologized for the inconvenience and told him I'd bring the towels to his room shortly. His room number was 237, one of the few occupied that night. As I walked down the corridor, the lights flickered, and a feeling of unease settled over me. Room 237 was at the far end, and as I approached, I couldn't shake the feeling that something was amiss. I knocked on the door, announcing the hotel's towel service. The door swung open abruptly, revealing the man in the dim light. His eyes were hollow, his gaze piercing. Without a word, he snatched the towels from my hands and slammed the door shut. A shiver ran down my spine as I hurried back to the lobby. The night progressed with no further incidents until the phone rang. It was the man from room 237, his voice laced with malice. "You didn't give me enough towels," he hissed. "You've made a grave mistake." The call ended abruptly, leaving me in a state of shock. Minutes later, he appeared in the lobby, his presence more menacing than before. He approached the front desk, pounding on the glass barrier that separated us. "I'll kill you for this," he threatened, his face twisted in rage. Panic surged through me as I reached for the phone, dialing 911. The police assured me they were on their way, but in Mariners Hollow, help was never immediate. The man continued his tirade, banging on the glass, his threats becoming more violent. Then, as suddenly as he had appeared, he vanished into the darkness of the hotel. I was paralyzed with fear, unsure of what to do next. I considered locking myself in the office, but feared he might return before the police arrived. Then the unthinkable happened. The lights went out, plunging the hotel into darkness. Armed only with my flashlight, I decided to make a run for it. I quietly unlocked the front door and stepped into the storm's aftermath. The streets were deserted. The only sounds were the distant ocean and my own heartbeat. As I hurried down the street, I heard footsteps behind me. I turned to see the man from room 237, his silhouette illuminated by the occasional streetlight. He was following me, a knife glinting in his hand. My heart raced as I ran, desperately searching for any sign of life. The streets twisted and turned, leading me further away from safety. Just when I thought I had lost him, I felt a hand grasp my shoulder, pulling me back. I screamed, struggling to free myself, but he was too strong. His grip tightened, and I felt the cold steel of the knife against my throat. "This is the end," he whispered, his breath hot on my neck. Suddenly, a voice called out from the darkness, "Hey, leave them alone." A figure emerged from one of the houses, armed with nothing but a flashlight and courage. The attacker hesitated, then released me, turning to face this new threat. The resident, a burly man named Hank, charged at my assailant, tackling him to the ground. They struggled, but Hank managed to disarm the man. "Run," he yelled at me, and I didn't hesitate. I sprinted back to the hotel, locking the door behind me. From the safety of the lobby, I watched as the police finally arrived, arresting the man who had terrorized me. Hank explained that he had heard the commotion from his house and knew he had to intervene. The police later revealed that the man was a known fugitive, mentally unstable and dangerous. He had sought refuge in our hotel after the hurricane, blending in with the chaos that followed. In the days that followed, the hotel installed additional security measures, and I was offered time off to recover from the ordeal. However, the memory of that night lingered, a haunting reminder of the fragility of safety. Hank became a local hero, and I, a survivor of a night that tested my every limit. The experience left me with nightmares, but also with a newfound appreciation for the unexpected bravery of strangers. The Seagull's Nest Hotel eventually returned to its peaceful state, welcoming guests once again. But the echoes of that night remained, a ghostly presence in the dimly lit corridors. As I resumed my duties at the hotel, I couldn't help but look over my shoulder, wary of the shadows that seemed to whisper tales of terror. The storm had passed, but its shadows lingered, a reminder of the night when fear walked the halls of the Seagull's Nest Hotel. In the end, the ordeal taught me that courage can emerge in the most unexpected moments, and that even in the face of unimaginable fear, there is always hope for salvation. The storm had tested us all, but in its wake, we found strength, unity, and the resolve to face whatever challenges lay ahead. As the sun rose over Mariners Hollow, the damage from Hurricane Eloise was still visible, but so too was the resilience of its people. We had weathered the storm, both literal and metaphorical, emerging stronger and more united in its aftermath. The Seagull's Nest Hotel stood as a beacon of that resilience, its lights shining bright against the darkness, a symbol of hope in the face of adversity.